Newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio. Kevin Smith here. Before we get to the news in detail, let's get to the front page comment of today's edition of the Kaieteur News. We must resist being robbed. Guyanese are intense and passionate about elections, as they should be. But when it comes to the most important issues of their lives and those of their children and grandchildren, they could care less. Not even when the biggest economic crime ever committed in Guyana takes place before their eyes and under their noses. A multi-billion US dollar economic crime is being perpetuated by political leaders and their secret partners, and nearly all Guyanese shrug and continue to bend over to be ruthlessly worked over by the same people for whom they fought so gallantly. The Kanji and Kaieteur blocks are estimated to hold over 7 billion barrels of oil. But the two blocks and their billions of barrels have been given away in a secret deal by the PPPC leaders to mysterious characters under cryptic circumstances. The mystery men have then sold part of their interest to ExxonMobil. The PPPC leaders are mum about these deals. They want this to be kept secret and away from prying eyes. Kaieteur News and Kaieteur Radio will not do so. We will not allow our children and grandchildren to be cheated out of their rightful inheritance. We, our children and grandchildren, can have a life free of want and poverty. We can all be rich, but the right deals have to be made. The Kaieteur and Kanji oil blocks are part of our heritage and our wealth to be held in trust for those coming after us. It is not the PPPs or the PNCs to give away recklessly and criminally for the crooked benefit of persons unknown. We did not risk our lives for 5 long and dark months to have our wealth given away by the direct beneficiaries of our efforts. It is why we at Kaieteur News and Kaieteur Radio keep asking, who owns these blocks? Who benefits? What are the financial and other arrangements under which these deals are struck? When will Guyanese begin to realize how they are being robbed? We resisted our democracy being stolen. We must resist with equal vigor and determination the stealing of our wealth. Guyanese should and must care. If we fail to do so, the bright future for our people, which our wealth guarantees, will disappear into the pockets of robbers who masquerade as political leaders, those who we elected to secure and protect our interest. We must start caring now. And now for the news in detail. Details are now emerging of what seems to be a racket involving the purchase of asphalt at a state-run entity. According to a well-placed sources, contractors working on government projects were up to recently mandated to take their asphalt from the Garden of Eden plant. We were told by a number of persons that contractors would get asphalt at huge discounts under a scam that stretched all the way to the Ministry of Public Works. It was explained that contractors would come in a few days later and pay about half price for the asphalt. The asphalt plant is being operated by the Demerara Harbor Bridge Corporation. It would mean that the state would have lost tens of millions of dollars in revenues. In fact, operators of privately run asphalt plants have been complaining of little or no business. In other news, former Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson has refuted claims by the current Minister of Public Works Juan Edgell regarding the reduced expansion of the $150 million Cheddi Jagan International Airport. Edgell said that the scope of works was reduced by the APNU AFC from 9,000 square meters to 4,046. With these changes, Edgell shared that an additional $6.5 million would be necessary to bring the airport to optimum functioning. However, Patterson sought to debunk those claims by Edgell, as he indicated that the reduction of air bridges and thereby the reduction of the scope of works was done before the APNU AFC assumed government in May 2015. Patterson asserted that it was the PPPC who made the changes to reduce the number of air bridges. Let's tell you now that to date, Guyana's Natural Resource Fund, which is held at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, holds over $98 million based on royalties and sales executed thus far for the state's share of the Liza crude. In order to ensure this account does not become a slush fund, industry experts are strongly advising that key oversight mechanisms need to be put in place as quickly as possible. Specifically making this appeal recently was Arthur Deakin, an analyst at America's Market Intelligence. Deakin recalled that the Irfan Ali administration has vouched to change the NRF Act to make it more transparent, but he was keen to note that the new government has not made it clear about if and when it will follow through on this pledge. In the meantime, the fund remains without all the mechanisms that are needed to ensure proper oversight. Let's tell you now that years have passed, and despite contractors receiving millions in advanced payments for the construction of several schools, they remain incomplete, with their work continuing to move at a snail's pace. The Minister of Education, Priya Manik-Chand, on Friday lambasted the previous APNU-AFC for mismanaging the construction of these schools. Attention was given to the contentious $827 million Yarrow Cabra Secondary School on the Soosdijk Highway. This contract was awarded on December 31st, 2019, when the coalition was deemed to be a caretaker government. Nonetheless, the Education Ministry under the APNU-AFC had signed the multi-million contract with the contractor BK International on January 7, 2020. Some $214 million has already been advanced to BK International, but a mere 3.5% of the works have completed, the minister said, as she added that at this time the contractor should have completed at least 8% of the works. And moving on, a special audit is currently being undertaken by the Auditor General's Office into the millions of taxpayer dollars expended by the previous APNU-AFC coalition administration to procure the services of private lawyers for elections-related litigations and other personal matters. Revealing this was Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nandlal. According to Nandlal, the last regime paid the staggering sum of $146,099,180 from 2017 to 2020 to private lawyers. That figure, however, only relates to the invoices discovered at the Attorney General's chambers. He was quick to point out that dozens of other invoices cannot be found for the attorneys retained by the APNU-AFC during the melee of madness, the 5 months from March to August 2020. In other news, Canadian-owned Scotiabank says it will fully reopen its Carmichael Street Georgetown branch on Monday after a temporary closure due to a staffer testing positive for COVID-19. The bank said that on Friday, September 25th, 2020, it will partially reopen with only teller transactions being facilitated for withdrawals, deposits that cannot be done at the ATM, and express check deposits. On Monday, there will be full resumption of services. And moving on, GTT announced Sunday night that it restored landline services to customers in Region 3, completing underwater repairs ahead of schedule. The company said it was days earlier than anticipated. And moving on, social distancing is one of the key tactics being pushed to combat the spread of the very contagious COVID-19 disease. So it is no surprise that recent protests have caused much worry among those within our healthcare system. The protests, mainly on the west coast of Berbice, were spurred by the killings of teenage cousins Isaiah and Joel Henry, whose mutilated bodies were found in a cotton tree west coast Berbice backdam. Drawing attention to the possible fallout from the protests, Dr. Zulfikar Bucks, a weekly contributor to Kaieteur News, said he pleaded previously for there to not be any crowds to celebrate or protest the outcome of the elections. According to the emergency medicine specialist, the coronavirus-causing disease is one that loves gatherings, since this is the best medium for it to spread and quickly cause a surge of cases. Moreover, the transmission in a protesting crowd can become especially easy, Dr. Bucks explained, because persons may find it inconvenient to wear a mask while they try to voice their concerns. The heat of the day, the doctor noted too, can be a deterrent to adherence as well. And that brings us to the end of this evening's newscast. Stay tuned. Coming up next is your COVID-19 tip, followed by the national outlook with GHK Lal.